Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our Ecclesiastes study. We are in chapter 6 today, which puts us halfway through the book. If you'd like our free PDF outline of this chapter, you can download it at tobelikechrist.com. So today we're going to talk more about the vanity of life. Solomon's really got us in kind of a depressive state in the opening of this book. And I got to say, I'd really like to know some more context around like where Solomon was out in his life when he wrote this and kind of his headspace and what he was thinking about and what had got him into that situation. We know some things about Solomon's life, that he had a relationship with God in the beginning of his reign, and that he was pulled away by idolatry and some of the women, the many women that he married, and they pulled his heart away from God, and that he got into some trouble with that. But we don't know exactly when he wrote this book or where he was in his life or what had led him to these conclusions, what caused him to write these things down in the way that he did. Really do wish we had more on that. I think it would help to illuminate the book for us, but evidently God thought we didn't necessarily need it. And so we're supposed to be looking at life from this under the sun perspective. What if it all ends in the grave? Solomon's given us the conclusion to that, and we're supposed to learn from it. So let's talk about chapter 6. In our first section today, verses 1 through 7, Solomon's going to talk about men who have riches but don't have the ability to enjoy them or the opportunity to enjoy them. So Solomon thought it was a great shame that some men have riches, wealth, and honor, but because of some life circumstance or some mindset that they may have, they're unable to enjoy those things. Other men get to enjoy them, but they themselves don't get to enjoy what they have. Solomon said that this was, quote, vanity, and it is an evil disease. I thought that was interesting language. Another vanity of life was seen when a man had all the external signs or indications of fulfillment and a happy life, but really inside he was internally empty. In Solomon's day, a long life and lots of children was thought of as a mark of a good life, a life well lived. But Solomon observed that there were some men who lived for many years, and they had hundreds of children or 100 children, and those things never actually touched their souls. A man could have everything, but he could still be unhappy for a variety of reasons. Solomon once again makes this interesting comparison between a stillborn child and this man who's worked his whole life and got all these things, but still isn't happy. Solomon said that a stillborn child is better off than this type of man. At least the child found peace in death without toiling away his whole life for decades on earth and finding none at all. What advantage is it, Solomon asks, to live for 1,000 years without satisfaction? Why live 1,000 years of frustration? Both the stillborn child and the 1,000-year-old man end up in the same place in the end, in the grave. This is a somewhat short chapter with only 12 verses, and so our last 4 verses, we're just going to talk about the vanity of it all. Solomon called into question the value of being wise on the earth. He's done this before. What is the real advantage to wisdom? He says this, "For what hath the wise more than the fool?" Some men have everything and aren't content. Some men have nothing and aren't content. And Solomon says, it's better just to find contentment with what you have. He says, what's in front of your eyes, what you can see, what you literally possess, rather than losing your mind to a heart that's always wandering around in desire for things that you don't possess. Solomon concludes the chapter with kind of a fatalistic statement about the world, saying that vanity abounds. Vanity is everywhere. It's pervasive. You're destined to run into it. And there's really no way for a man to figure out what is vanity and what isn't vanity, because there's no way for a man to know what's going to happen after he dies. No way for a man to know whether the work that he puts in on earth is going to be cared about in future generations, or it's all going to fall apart. People are going to forget about it, and it's all going to crumble. Who's to say what's vanity and what isn't? He says it's basically unavoidable is his conclusion here at the end of the chapter. So, yet again, another really upbeat, positive, optimistic chapter by Solomon here as he's finishing up chapter 6, halfway through the book. It just makes me wonder again, as I have for every chapter, like where is he in life that this is what he wants to write down? That this is the attitude that he wants to express. What is his relationship with God like at this point? That this is the way that he's thinking. But anyway, I'm not going to get that information. So let's talk about our application for today. It is a very depressing thought, I think, to think that you can devote your life to a cause or to building something, and that after you die, well, it could be that nobody cares about it and all just falls apart. So how do you avoid the potential vanity of building something that won't last? Well, I can think of only one answer, and that is to build something that's going to last forever. Well, what is that? I mean, almost everything in the world could potentially be destroyed or disappear or be the victim of apathy of future generations. What's going to last forever? Well, eternal things, right? I think of two things, at least: the kingdom of heaven, God's church, his people, and souls. The souls of people within the kingdom, souls of your family members, souls of your children, souls of your spouse, your relative. All those things you can invest into and be confident that that investment is going to last forever. It's going to be beneficial forever. You're always going to get a return. You don't ever have to worry about labeling time spent building up the church and other people as time wasted. You're never going to have to label that as vanity. If you're struggling with purposelessness in life, consider putting more of your time into those spiritual things and shifting some of that time away from temporal things. I think God has built this into us, perhaps, that even when we're not totally conscious of it, we realize the vanity of building those temporal things, those earthly things that aren't going to last. And sometimes even people who aren't Christians or don't have a relationship with God, in the back of their mind, there's that nagging feeling of like, I'm not going to be here forever, and this thing I'm building is not going to be here forever. There's got to be something more to this. My life has to have more meaning than this. And so if you're in that situation, check out the eternal things, because really that's where you're going to find purpose and meaning. I think having this confidence that your work is going to last forever, that your work is not just vanity, it's a great comfort and a peace knowing that a hard day's work in the service of the Lord is never one that you're going to label as wasted.